Welcome back to another episode of Coursen's Corner. My name is Spencer Coursen, and this is a conversational podcast where I get to sit down with some of the most insightful, inspiring, and intriguing people I know to learn more about their origin stories, pivot points, and everything in between. Recording these conversations is one of the best ways I have found to feed my soul, and everyone here, both in the studio and behind the scenes, works so hard to bring these episodes to life. So wherever you are watching or listening to this episode, if you could like, share, comment, and subscribe, it would really mean so much to everyone. So thank you. I love you, and here we go.
My name is Lloyd Dixon, and we're here at Coursen's Corner. Here talking to Spencer.
Lloyd.
Super happy to do it.
Well, thank you, man. Appreciate you making the time. We were talking a little bit before. You've been doing this like 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
It's always funny how like the first few years, like we wind up doing it for free. It's like we're like getting the...
Yeah, first 2 years was unpaid.
Right.
But I was helping people out just like on Reddit and some friends. And there was other guys who were doing it at the time. There's a company called Real Social Dynamics. I don't know if you know it.
No.
But it's one of the oldest like dating companies in the world. And I'm fortunate enough to actually, be friends with the CEO of that. But basically, they had their own thing at that time. They were like doing big numbers, and they were coaching a lot of guys, doing boot camps and stuff like that. A boot camp is basically where they take guys who are, learning to improve their skills with women.
Right.
And they take them out, and they take them out to bars, clubs, whatever, and then they see them approach, see them talk to women, and then they see, give them critiques and stuff like that. They do it over the course of a weekend. So I'd known a couple guys who were doing that, and I'd seen them out. I'd been a part of those boot camps, both as a client and as a guy who was like kind of helping out and instructing. Yeah. But I wasn't getting paid any money for it or anything like that. So, I was doing that for a little bit, and then I decided that like I saw what they were doing and I thought it was good, but I was like, I saw a lot of guys coming through that system, and no knock on those guys. What they were doing was, overall, I think a very positive thing, but some of the guys were just coming in and getting weirder, and they weren't actually turning into like normal, well-adjusted, socially skilled people. And so I wanted to create something that was actually more comprehensive and actually made guys more attractive to women. So,
well, there's also, I remember, God, when was it? When did the game come out? Like,
yeah, there was the same guys.
Was that like Neil Strauss and like those guys?
Yes.
And that
so
almost
so
had
those
like
guys were in that book,
like a social engineering, like, I don't want to say predatory, but it was like, you got to neg them. You got to like know when to do this and know when to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think more of an authentic approach and like be who you are will always,
100%.
Or I had Courtney on here the other way. She's like, the authenticity will always beat the algorithm. So whether it's, the dating profiles or in person, it's like, just be your authentic self.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like when they were going out, they learned the routines, they learned how to make a girl laugh, but it was just like, I could tell it was like something that they had either rehearsed or, said 1,000 times before. And that's going to be really tough to make a connection with somebody if you're doing that. And when you run out of lines, which everybody does at some point, like, what are you going to do after that? So I felt like it would be good for them to have a more comprehensive system that really helped, and not just one that was about like, okay, you're going out and you're talking to women and picking them up, but what are you going to do after that? How are you going to keep them around, right? Because I think some things that help you pick up women initially might not be things that keep her around for a long time, or it might be attracting a certain kind of woman who maybe wants to get laid that night, or maybe just broke up with her boyfriend or something like that. But when it comes to someone who's in a secure spot, who is looking for a guy who's also secure, is that going to work realistically? And I felt like your lifestyle definitely matters. Where you're picking up women definitely matters. Going out to bars and clubs all the time, I did that for years, man. I was going out to bars and clubs like 5 nights a week, every single week for like 5 years, 6 years. Yeah. And it's just like, the kind of girls that I would be getting there is probably not the kinds of girls I would get along with now.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. And I think there's also something to be said about the type of people you're attracting and the way you're attracting them. There's like, who came up with it? Like, but basically, like, there's like the 3 kinds of friendships. There's like the virtuous, the transactional, and there's the experiential. You can sometimes.
I don't know who said that. Who said that?
It wasn't Socrates. It was.
It makes sense though. I do like that.
Who did say it? Hold on a second. Let's find that out. Brought to you by ChatGPT. When it comes to the friendships being transactional, experiential, and virtuous, who was the author of that framing?
That framework actually comes from Aristotle. He talked about 3 types of friendships.
Aristotle. So Aristotle basically had this framing of there's basically 3 types of people in your life. There's the virtuous. These are like your family and your close friends who will do anything for you because they love you for who you are.
Right.
You have your friends of transaction, right? Your bartenders, your hairstylists, your mocha people.
Right.
Then you have like your friends of experience. These are like the people you went to college with, or maybe you served with, or now people can ebb and flow in and out of different categories. But if like you're meeting like the nightlife, party goers, like that's only going to work so long as you have that same know, that framed experience.
Yeah.
Or if you're only interacting with someone on a transactional basis, and I'm not saying like we're going like the escort, like OnlyFans approach, but like it's a give and take. And as long as that give and take exists, that will work.
Yeah.
Whereas like someone who's like actual virtuous, like loves you for who you are. You know, my grandfather used to always say like, looks will open the door, but a personality will keep you in the store.
Exactly.
And whether that's sales or love, it comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the things that you learn or you pick up while you're picking up women is sometimes they're bad habits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's like, you know, you're learning how to like get a laugh really quick or be charismatic in this certain environment. But, you know, like most of the time you're not always cracking jokes. You're not always trying to win a person over.
Right.
Some of the time you're sitting on the couch just like chilling, you know, like what is your energy like when that's happening? You know, and I was a guy who was always very nervous and insecure when I was starting out. And it didn't really cure those things. In fact, it sometimes made them worse because when your focus is totally on like trying to win a woman over, you know, and you're like used to getting rejected or used to her disappearing at a certain point in time, you know, you're going to be constantly thinking that might happen unless I say the right thing or do the right thing.
Right.
And that's not an attractive guy. An attractive guy thinks he's attractive, not the line or the thing that's going on. So, you know, it really takes a measure of self-development, I think. And then on top of that, you can add some tips and tricks if you want to, but that's the main thing that's important.
Yeah, I realized that, you know, in my own life, I spent a lot of my life picking up women.
Yeah.
Because it was like alcohol for me, right? It was satiating. Like I didn't love myself. So I would seek validation from, you know, the hot girl at the bar or the hot gym girl because her liking me made me feel better about me. But as soon as she left, I felt like shit about me. The more I learned to love myself and come into alignment, then I started attracting the right kind of people, which I think is an interesting mindset between going out to pick up someone and looking to meet like your partner.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Like intention is a big part of it.
100%. Are you in a relationship right now yourself? I know this is a personal question.
Yeah, no. I actually, so it's funny. I have for like the past several months been working with a therapist who specializes in helping successful CEOs to not sabotage their success when it comes to their love life, which is really fascinating.
It's very common.
And one of the first things I brought up to her was I need someone who can anticipate my needs, right? Because I can be a complicated guy. I've got a lot of balls in the air. And like, I'm one of those people that when I'm with you, I'm with you 100%. But when I'm not with you, I am 100% with whatever I'm doing, whether that be my dog or my work or podcasting or writing or what have you. And I needed someone who could kind of like understand those dynamics, but also someone who could like anticipate what my needs were, because anticipating needs is one of like my core skills that came from a childhood of trauma, being able to anticipate other people's needs. Because,
so you're able to do that very well for other people, and
right? But no one could ever do it for me.
You're hoping somebody could reciprocate
and so
that.
And so I had this suicide attempt a couple of years ago, and my service dog saved my life.
Okay,
and she's
I'm
like,
sorry to hear that.
Oh no, best thing ever happened to me.
Okay.
Not at the time.
Not at the time.
On this side of the coin, it wound up being the pivot point that I really needed to achieve my full potential. But one of the things she was saying was, well, how long are these relationships that you're having with these women? I was like, you know, like 60, 90 days. And she goes, okay, so when Ronan saved your life, how old was he? He was about 3 years old. I was like, okay. So would it have been fair to have expected Ronan, my dog, to at 3 months been able to anticipate my needs up to that point?
Yeah.
And she's like, so you're looking for a 3-year takeaway at the 3-month mark. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to really work for me. And so what I kind of didn't realize I was doing was, I need a relationship that can kind of start at the 2-year mark.
Right.
And
you were comparing these new relationships to something that was like 2-3 years in.
And so I've been friends with this one woman for like 3 years, and it just recently became romantic, and it's like the easiest relationship I've ever been in my life.
That's great, man. I love it when guys have female friends, dude. I think they're great candidates to date, or you can date their friends or whatever.
Yeah, and it was never like a just in case of emergency break glass kind of thing. Like there was never that I mean, maybe there was like a little bit of like inevitable sexual tension like at random times, but like she was always my like if I needed a fourth for a dinner or this or that or everything. And then like one night we were like laying on the couch watching something, and one thing led to another, and it's been great ever since.
That's awesome, man. You know, I super advocate for guys to like have females in their life that they're not like actually sleeping with or not trying to sleep with, just having women in your life that you can see as an actual human being. And the reason why I advocate for that is because it actually, even from a purely selfish standpoint, the female friends that I've had in my life have provided so much for me in terms of maybe access to some of their friends to date.
100%.
Making me look good at a party so another woman wants to get with me. Or even just having like a female perspective, there when you're dating somebody, is really great to have. And so I think female friendships are great. Guys hate them, especially in the red pill space. They think they're the worst.
Yeah, and those guys don't love themselves. You know what I mean? Like those guys, like, and I think a lot of those guys also kind of chase the algorithm. Yeah, like because like even like the Dan Bilzerians, the Tates, all these guys, they always go like, no, read Sex at Dawn. We're not supposed to be like that, and then they always pivot back to, well, now I'm in a monogamous relationship. I'm, we're not inviting anyone else into our relationship until that girl breaks their heart, and then they go, fuck women. We're gonna go this way. You know what I mean? Like they can stay authentic for about 60 seconds.
I think they really believe it at the time, if you're someone who's kind of self-absorbed, like, you have this epiphany and you think, oh, no one knows this yet. No one has gone through these transformations that I've gone through, right? No one has gone from wanting to sleep with every single woman to being in a happy monogamous relationship. This is brand new. Yeah. Right.
Well, also the honest thing is like, if he didn't have the money, he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
If they didn't have, all the cards, there's certain markers. Yeah. Like I don't know who was giving the interview that was like, it's really easy to get laid when you're a famous celebrity. Yeah. It's really hard to get laid when you first get to Hollywood. Like,
well, what you can get, I think, is so like I was broke when I first started all this stuff, right? But I was like dating a bunch of different women at the same time, some of them knew about each other. And like my sex life was obviously great. I was thinking that I was the king at that time and I didn't need money to do it. But what I had was I had a pretty good status within this network that I was going to. I was going to like these certain parties that I was attending a lot. So I had a pretty good standing there. You don't need to be like a rich celebrity or a Dan Bilzerian or multimillionaire or whatever it is. The fame actually will help you a bit better than the money, maybe more than a bit. But certain kinds of fame help a lot. And I had a certain fame within these circles with the kinds of women that I wanted to date.
Right.
And it wasn't like, if you didn't go to those parties, you wouldn't know about me. If you didn't,
you're a big fish, small pond.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So like,
and it's the echelon in which you're in. Like, there's always like the guy who's like the big guy. Everyone knows this guy at the club.
Yeah.
Right. But you walk outside that club, no one knows who the fuck that guy is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If I had attended a banquet full of like investors, people would have been like, "Who is this guy? He seems stupid." But in that particular environment, I was well known, and I knew a lot of people. A lot of women knew me as well too, and so I would go to some of these parties, and like girls would show a lot of interest in me. This person wouldn't have batted an eye if I'd passed them on the street, but in that particular environment, it worked really well. So you don't have to have a ton of money to do well and sleep with a ton of women, but does that lifestyle sound like a lifestyle that's conducive to a stable relationship? Right. No. Do you think I'm going to be attracting a woman who's like the kind of woman that would be secure and ready for that and be a good mother? I don't think so. Maybe there was a couple women who maybe now they've changed that I knew back then that would have been a good candidate, but if that was my goal, that's not what I should have been doing. And that the average person, I think, for them to do that realistically is a little bit tough, especially if you're working a job and, you have people who depend on you and stuff like that. Like, I don't think you should be,
Also, is that like what is that what the kids are still doing? Are the kids still going to like clubs and bars?
No. Right? A lot of them aren't. Clubs are not
like
as
liquor sales
anymore.
are down like 60%.
Yeah. Like I think that's mostly because Gen Z are socializing less. Like overall, they're just socializing less. They're going out less, and they're not talking to each other as much in person.
Dating less.
They're also dating
I saw
less
some stat
and sleeping
like
together less.
70% of men who are 23 and younger have never asked a woman out in person.
Yeah, it's like more than half have never approached a woman. The stats are pretty bad in terms of like...
Do you think that's because of like social media and more of like the parasocial dynamic? Or do you think that's like COVID or like what do you attribute to that?
COVID accelerated the process for sure. Yeah. But, when people are used to staring at their phones and not taking action in real life, they get satiated by, the notifications on their phone more than they do from a conversation with somebody,
Is that, where do you find your your like client pool is typically now? Are they like the people who are like coming
They're
out of
usually
college?
millennials. They're usually millennials. Yeah,
So
I'll get some Gen Z
How old is a millennial
sometimes.
these days?
I don't even know. I think it goes all the way to like 30, all the way to like 40 now.
Okay.
But I think also maybe late 20s too. I'm not sure actually. We should look that up what the exact thing is. But I get some Gen Z guys. The age bracket of the guys that reach out to me is usually 25 to 45. Like that's
Oh, really?
Yeah. I get a wide swath of people. And lately I've been getting a lot of guys in their 50s as well too. But I help whatever stage you're at in life is not always indicative of what stage in dating you are. You might have been in a 20-year-long marriage, and then you come out of it at 45 and you're like, I've only been on a date with 3 people in my life. I'm a novice, right? So, for them, like a lot of the stuff that I talk about at the beginning is really, really important because they've just never done it,
Yeah. And I'm sure there's like a fear factor and a confidence level. And it's like, if they haven't gotten the reps in, like there's the whole, like no one fears that which they know well.
And as you get older, you tend to judge yourself about like, oh, I'm learning how to talk to women at this age, and it's like, there's a lot of self-judgment that makes it hard for you to just like say, hey, I'm a novice at this. I'm a total beginner. I'm a sponge. I'm going to absorb whatever information I can. It's easier to do that when you're 21 or 18
100%.
than it is at 45 when you feel like you should be established in things.
Yeah, or I have friends who got like married when they were 25. They've been married for like 20 years. Now they're getting divorced. They're 40, 45.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like getting back into the dating pool for the first time. And it's a completely different dynamic than like when we were kids. So I looked it up. In 2025, the age generations are traditionalists born 1925 to 1945, who are 80 to 99.
Mm-hmm.
Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964, so they're about 61 to 79. Generation X, which I think I am, 1965 to 1980, are between 40 and 50. Millennials are currently between 29 and 44. Gen Z, currently between 13 and 28. And Generation Alpha, which are basically 12-year-olds. They're either being born today or they're 12.
What was the birth dates for millennials again?
Millennials born 1981 to 1996, who are currently between 29 and 44 years old.
Okay, I thought it was 20. I was 28 or 29. Okay,
yeah,
cool. So I was close. I was close. I get some guys in the Gen Z category, but the youngest I'll probably take is like a guy who's like 23 or something.
Are there core deficiencies that you notice? Like, is it communication? Is it authenticity? Is it confidence? Is it approach? Is it capacity? Is it capability?
Yeah. The main things that I see at the beginning, 90% of my clients will tell me, they're like, I don't know where to go and I don't know what to do when I'm there, right? So they don't know where to go to meet quality women.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do when they're in those environments to be able to get a date out of it, right? And so those are the 2 problems that I solve initially that are like pretty universal. And I think if guys know where to go, if they knew that there was something that would give them a return on their result, they would be more likely to do it. But I think a lot of guys are resigned to the fact that like, yeah, sure, maybe I don't even know where to go or what to say, but I don't even think if I did, like it would make a difference. So there are some guys who are like that.
Yeah.
I think so for 50%, we give them the information to be able to do that. They can go out and execute and start making mistakes. Great. But then there's the other 50% that don't even believe that if they go out to these environments, the women will like them. They've just had so many negative experiences or lack of positive ones that they feel like it would be a waste of time. And those guys are tougher for me to reach. If you're that far gone where you believe there's something wrong with you, which is a spot that I used to be in, where I thought that there was something there was something inherently wrong with who I was as a person that I couldn't get rid of, that just people didn't like, right? Which was wrong. Okay. But a lot of guys, I think, believe that now. They're told a lot of negative messages. They see a lot of negative messages online. The thing about women is women get a lot of unwanted male attention that they didn't ask for, that is sometimes creepy, makes them feel unsafe. With men, they get no female attention whatsoever. So it's kind of like pick your poison. Do you want to walk around the world, having people try and talk to you that you don't really want to talk to? Or do you want to feel totally invisible and feel like nobody cares about you, right? And I think a lot of guys are in the category where they feel like nobody cares about them. And those guys are the toughest for me to reach at that time. But if they do start believing that it is possible for them to change, which is possible for everybody, right? Then you can bring them into this category, which is, okay, now let's show you the areas to go, the ways to meet people, and then what to do when you are meeting them there. How do you present yourself? How do you market yourself in a way that's actually going to get you a date?
Yeah. So I'm trying to dumb this down for the audience. Like, so if the first step is location, would the next step be like communication?
Yeah, I think so. So my program usually it involves it's called the Mac coaching program. You're gonna love this.
I love this.
So it starts with
I'm from the Army, so we love really like explain it like I'm 4.
Yeah. So the first stage obviously is meeting women. Where do you meet quality women? Okay. Where do you meet people in general? A lot of guys don't even have friends too. That's another thing. But there's meeting, attracting, connecting, and keeping.
Okay.
Right. So you know where to meet them. You know how to attract them so you can get dates. When you're on the dates, can you form a connection with that person so they want to keep going on dates with you? And then what kind of a relationship do you start out of that? Right? Or it's going even longer now. So that's the biggest system. The first 2 things I think guys have the most trouble with. Usually they find if they're getting attraction from a woman, they just need to tweak a few things to enhance the connection, learning how to be vulnerable, stuff like that. But I think it's them getting their foot in the door. That is really, really tough. And for women, it's the opposite, right?
Yeah, no, people always said, well, how do I know if she's into me? I was like, if she makes eye contact, I'm going to use English now. If she makes eye contact with you more than twice, she's interested. She may look at you once and then, oh, why is that creepy guy look at me? And she will intentionally not look at you again.
Yeah.
But if she looks at you a second time, she's interested and you should go say hi.
Yeah, 100%. There's a couple things that I mentioned to guys. I was like, look, dude, if she's still talking to you, just assume she likes you, right? Yeah. This does not mean that you do anything inappropriate or you overstep any boundaries. Right. Even if you knew somebody was into you, you wouldn't do that. But having that mentality of assuming the attraction really changes guys' games up because they always assume that the woman's not interested in them. They act from that. Does that sound like an attractive guy? No.
Right.
An attractive guy always thinks he's the man. I once went out with a guy, he was kind of a loose cannon. We used to go out all the time together.
Those are always fun, though.
When I was in my 20s. Yeah, love that guy. And we would come back. Like 90% of the time, he would go home with some girl or, I'd find somebody that I ended up liking, get her phone number, meet her up later. But sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we'd have a goose egg, as I like to call it, where we'd go out. No women would be interested in us. Like everything would just fall flat. And we just end up, shooting the shit with each other or hanging out with some of our boys. And so that night didn't go very well, right? He would come away from that night and still be like, hey, did you see that chick? She smiled at me. And he would be, I would be like, what are you talking about? This night sucked. Yeah. We got nothing. And he would always be like talking about how some chick was into him because she looked at him a certain way. And I'm like, that's the kind of thing that I overall learned that made him to be so successful is because he would always look for reasons why he was the man. And I was always looking for reasons why I wasn't. And of course, who do you think got more success at that time? But when I started learning to look for the reasons why I was an awesome dude, then I started to get a little bit better. And I know some people are going to be watching this and think, well, we don't want to make men too overconfident. Those are not the guys who are my clients typically. The guys who are overconfident wouldn't sign up for a dating program teaching them
these are also
how to be better.
This is also like
right?
the women who are like, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky. It's like,
exactly.
Men are spending their entire life trying to get bulky and it's not happening. It's not going to happen for you. Okay?
Yeah. And I would put it to them that an insecure guy is way worse than getting with a guy who's confident in himself, who likes himself. The guy who's confident in himself, most men are not bad people. Most people are not bad people in general. The ones who are bad, they do it because of pain, because of insecurity, because they're afraid. Yeah. And it comes from that. If you have a guy who has mastered those negative emotions and has learned to channel them into something positive and like himself, he's going to be a 10 times better boyfriend than a guy who isn't.
I could not agree with you more. Are there target-rich environments? Like Whole Foods around 7 p.m. at the salad bar after yoga used to be great for me. The smoothie bar. Like I don't ever date people from my gym because like that's my sanctuary.
Which gym do you go to?
Collective.
Oh, you go to Collective?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. A lot of people taking photos there.
Every influencer goes to fucking
a lot of very pretty women there. I've been to it a few times.
It's great. There's a couple different locations. So we're bringing a new one in Nashville that I'm looking forward to experiencing. But yeah, Collective is great. But like that's my place to go. That's like my sanctuary. That's like my zone in time. I never take anyone with me. I go by myself, headphones in, sweat and surrender. Yeah. Or get my ass kicked by my trainer. But like at Sun Life afterwards, great. Like I love going there and hanging out.
What's Sun Life? Is it like
Sun
a spa?
Life Organics? It's on Music Lane. It's right across from Buck Mason.
Okay, is it like which kind of?
It's an organic smoothie shop.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
it's a smoothie
and
shop.
my buddy
All right,
Khalil
gotcha.
Rafati owns it, and it's fantastic.
Okay.
There's one also in Bee Cave.
Yeah.
Shout out to. Usually, I'm drinking a Sun Life shake on this podcast, but I finished it before you got here. So, they're an unofficial sponsor of the podcast. But that's like a great place. Do you have places that you kind of times and places that you find
so there's
most? I mean, I don't want you giving away too much free chicken here, but like
I'm fine. I don't care about that. My program is not based on information; it's based on
execution.
Results. Yeah. So, if you are looking for events, I recommend a couple different apps to download that are really good. I'm not getting paid for any of these. I know some of the people who work for them, but I'm not getting paid for them. Okay, so one of them that started here in Austin is called Sweat Pals. So it's basically a place where you can go work out with a group of people who are probably single, and then they have a little bit of a social event afterwards. Okay, great if you're like, don't know where to go, what to do, you don't like drinking alcohol and getting drunk at bars and trying to hit on women. Sweat Pals is a great.
Does that also like include like the run clubs and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, they include some run clubs, but there's also like this coffee and chill thing that they partner with as well too. That's really great. Where they do like cold plunges. Who's doing that
like Saturday, Sunday morning thing? Is that?
Yeah, so they are affiliated with a lot. There's a bunch of people who do those, but they are affiliated
everywhere
with a lot
in Austin
of
now has cold plunge.
Exactly. So those are great places to meet people as well too, and it's in an environment where it's like you're not forced to drink. You're not going to be hungover the next morning. If you're a productive person, I highly recommend those. So Sweat Pals is good. Time Left is also good to start out if you're looking to like start making friends. You don't know anybody. It's just basically a place where you have dinner with strangers.
Time Left?
It's called Time Left. Yeah, and they match you up based on your preferences and stuff like that. So like I've had some of my clients get dates from there, but usually what they get is they meet other people who are down to meet other people. Yeah. They get added to a group message, and then they get invited to more events and social places like that. Then there's also Luma, LU.MA, where you can find events in your area as well too. And then if you're looking for nightlife stuff, if you're looking for events in the nightlife, I would use Posh. Posh is
POSH.
POSH, yeah. It's an event creator that you can use, but I like those. The best events you will find, this is just to start out, the best events you will find will always be word of mouth. It will always be a friend of yours texting you about a house party that only 20 or 30 people know about, and then you go there and it's like, oh my God, every single woman I'm talking to is my type, and also they are interested in me. This would never happen at a bar full of strangers.
Right, the best part of ACL is the after party.
Yeah. So, basically, the best place you're going to find it through word of mouth, but how do you get access to those places? Well, you're going to start from somewhere, and those apps are not a bad place to start.
Excellent.
Now, if you're wondering not just apps, but actual locations that I recommend, I always think that a good social event or a good house party will beat out, you randomly cold approaching. But if you want a cold approach, I think Whole Foods isn't bad. Me personally, I like going into parks or environments or like downtown areas where you see a lot of people sitting down outside.
Dog parks.
Yes, those are great. Yeah. Dog parks are good. I've even found places that are like near the beach where people just kind of hang out and chill.
Barton Springs.
Yeah, Barton Springs. You can go to places like that. I like places where there's a good mix of people sitting and standing and not too occupied with whatever it is that they're doing, right? They're literally out there to enjoy the day.
Yeah.
And so, like Santa Monica in Los Angeles, like near that Venice Beach area. It's getting a little run down there, but back in when I used to live there was less homeless people, and it was like a perfect place for...
Oh, where did you live out there?
Like 2016. Okay. 2016, 2015.
I was at 4th and Broadway in Santa Monica, and then I was 2nd and Brooks in Venice Beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you hang out at the bungalow there at all?
I was just going to say, you would probably find me at the bungalow.
Bungalow's great, man.
That was bungalow and then Boa.
Oh, Boa? You like Boa?
Because I used to be we would go to bungalow for happy hour, then go to Boa for dinner, and then go back to bungalow. Bungalow. Good old bungalow. I haven't been there in a minute, but bungalow is great.
They used to have a bar here. I don't know if they still have it on Rainy Street. It was called Bungalow.
They did,
but it wasn't nearly as good. Yeah, I didn't know if it was like they were affiliated with each other.
They were affiliated, were they?
No, I mean I think Bungalow is a pretty common name.
I was just down on Rainy Street. A friend of mine was in town. This was maybe a couple months ago, and she was staying at Hotel Van Zandt, and that was the first time I'd been down to Rainy since COVID.
Changed
completely different.
Changed totally different.
Wow.
Van Zandt's a nice hotel too. They have some they do some pool parties and stuff like that. I like Van Zandt. Their cafe is pretty good too. But
yeah, the hotel pool party here seen in this town is very interesting.
It's a different vibe. It's not an Austin vibe. It's a more bougie kind of like rooftop scene. I like it. I like both,
It's not
but
bad.
it's a bit different from what the regular.
But I feel like the
Austin
W
scene is,
pool like didn't realize how much was going to get built up around it because now it gets like 2 hours of sun because of all the
Oh, dude, yeah,
right.
yeah. They built like literally 2 skyscrapers
right next to us,
nearby it, so it's blocking it
between
from,
like 1:30 and 2:45. You get sun at that point. That's about it. But the proper bar is always a great spot.
Proper so here's the thing. If you want to get technical about it, the reason why Proper is so good is because, like I said,
And so
equal
good
number
everywhere.
of people's sitting and standing.
Oh,
So what happens is this.
Yeah, you're right.
You'll be sitting down with your friends and you'll just be chilling there. And some girl will knock you and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And you're like, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm Lloyd. And then you introduce yourself and you talk to, and like everybody's pretty friendly there. So the Proper bar, I think bars like it where they have like an informal way you're sitting and standing is really good because then people start to mingle. If you go to clubs or bars, for instance, where everybody is sitting down, no one is standing up, it's bad. If you go into places where everybody's standing, it's too hard to like stick around with somebody because everybody's moving constantly. But when you have a good mix of that, then there's going to be more people that are going to be willing to talk to you and also stick around for longer than just a, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like those areas the best.
What do you feel? One of the friend of mine who's been on this podcast a couple of times, she also has a podcast. Do you know Jen Kershaw?
Jim who?
Jen Kershaw.
I think if I saw her face, I'd probably recognize her.
She has the Gen Z podcast because her first name's Jen.
Oh, okay. That's a good
But
name.
she's 35, she's divorced, and she's like kind of like back in the dating scene now. And so she's on the apps and she's like meeting people.
Right.
And she's like, her 2 pet peeves are you connect and then they just keep chatting. It's like, no, if you've connected with me, like be a man and have a plan. Like, and the second thing is that like once they share a number, these guys will text themselves out of a date.
They just keep texting.
Yeah.
They don't
like
follow up.
once you've had the date. No, it'll be like, hey, do you want to, sushi on Saturday at 7? Like they'll finally like lock in something, but it'll be like on Friday and it's Monday, and then they will over text. That Monday through Thursday to the point where she's like, oh, sorry, I got a headache.
Yeah, I think every day, day-to-day texting before you've actually established a connection, I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should set the date, and that's not to say that you can't talk and get to know each other. I think that's normal and good, and some women will even not go on the date until you talk to them enough. But you should not be texting all day. There's no reason to be having 5 or 6 back and forths a day with a woman that you haven't met yet, that you've not really gotten to know yet. No reason.
So much gets lost in.
Yeah, she's gonna think like this guy has nothing better to do. Why is he so into me? Maybe there's something wrong with him. And it's just, I feel like it's a biological thing with women where they sense when a guy is being too needy, and
especially when you haven't met them in person, right? Because you don't really know how their vibe or something. Like Whitney Cummings just always have that funny thing. She's like, don't tell me how much money you make. Like, show me your medicine cabinet. Like, I want to know how crazy you really are. Like, show me the prescription models. Yeah,
100%. It's like when you worked in sales, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like after the guy's already agreed to sign up, he's like, okay, cool, send me the invoice. And the guy's throwing in more stuff.
No, once they say yes, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, once they said yes, you're good. You don't need to talk yourself up anymore. You're fine. And a lot of guys talk themselves out of the sale once it's been made.
One of the things you talk about in your Instagram and your videos and stuff like that is passivity versus activity. Wayne Gretzky used to say, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
Are guys still having a problem of like missing that window of opportunity? And
it's getting worse.
And is it because they don't know what to say or they don't know how to say it?
It's getting worse, and it's coming from 2 things. It's coming from the lack of social interaction that most guys are having in today's day and age. Most guys are lonely and they're not really going out that much. And it's showing with the way that they communicate with women for sure. If you have a strong group of male friends, by the way, this gets worse as you get older too, because people get married, people move and stuff like that. So, if you have a core group of friends that you're like hanging out with every single day and you make an attempt with a woman, it doesn't go very well. You go back to your buddies tease you a little bit, they give you a little bit of shit, you forget about it, right? But if you go up to a woman and you don't have any friends and maybe you talk to her for a little bit of time and then at the last minute she decides she doesn't want to go on a date with you, you're freaking crushed, you know? Because it's like you don't have anybody else who's picking you back up.
Yeah, you're coming back to the echo chamber of your own mind.
which is not a good place to be
No.
for a very long time, you know? And so when people do that, it really hurts them. The rejection hurts 10 times worse, and they don't want to do it again. And so the resilience that men used to have is less for that reason. It's also because men are kind of getting a little weaker in general, just, you know, with action taking and stuff.
Well,
so both of those things together, I think, make the lack of action that men are taking very understandable. Doesn't mean it's excusable, but it's understandable when you see what they're going through.
yeah. I'm glad you touched on that, because that's another thing I hear from a lot of my female friends is that like the pussification of the American male, that so many of these guys are in their soft girl era, and like these women are smart and they're educated and they can pay for their own things and they want to go out and experience the world, and they have no problem being in their masculine when they're out in the world, but when they come home they want to be able to fall into their feminine, and they can't because all the men are also in their feminine.
It's funny. I mean, like,
and that's everything from like who's paying for the date to are we going Dutch to like, you know what I mean? Like men just aren't taking charge like they used to.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, you kind of argue, some guys will complain about this, and they're partly right, which is that it's kind of what women wanted, or at least a certain group of women. They don't speak for all of the women, but we're talking about like the hardcore, you know, third wave feminist who was talking about how men need to be more like women, they need to get more in touch in their feminine side, men need to stop doing this. And that was directed at a very small group of men that were giving women all these bad experiences, right? The vast majority of men needed the opposite advice, which is like, hey, you need to take charge. You need to step up. Stop being a little bitch. Are we allowed to cuss on this?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Stop being a little bitch and actually take action. What's the worst that can happen? She says no, right?
Yeah.
She laughs about it to, you know, her friends. Who gives a fuck?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And which also goes back to your the lack of distress tolerance that a lot of guys have. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your first time at bat, like you're not going to hit a home run. Right. But you need to get those 10,000 hours in. You need to go through that like that Hamburg crucible. Yeah. So that you get the reps in and you know what works and what doesn't. Like
100%. And I think also too, you know, when think about the guy in school.
Yeah.
Think about the way that he's brought up. Okay. What makes a guy hard? What makes a guy strong? It's exactly what you said, which is he experiences things that don't go his way. He can't bench press the 200 pounds or whatever, or even 150 pounds if he's just starting, right? But he tries, he fails, and then his muscles grow, right? He tries, he fails, and then he gets more confident with his approaches because he's like improving at them slowly. When you look at the way a guy is brought up, whenever men take action on their own, independent, they are punished for it. As a child, you were grown up, and if you don't do what you're told, you get punished. You go to school. Most men spend a lot of time in school with female teachers who will yell at them for going to the bathroom without asking, right? They have to raise their hand and ask permission. What are they tested on? They're tested on getting the answers that the teacher told them previously and putting them on a piece of paper, right? So they are taught most of their development to obey, to follow. Is masculinity following? No, masculinity is leading.
Well, I was better at school.
When are they ever taught to lead? They are discouraged from it. They are punished for it. And so when they get to college, they do the same thing, right? They just, you know, they follow it. Then they get their job. They do the same thing. And then they wake up as an adult at 25, 26, and they're like, holy shit, I have been following directions my whole life and I'm miserable and no women like me, right? And when were they ever going to? When were they ever going to see that masculine side of yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
Especially if they never played sports.
Especially if they never played sports. And if they go through life doing what guys are supposed to do, being a good little boy, they get fucked. Yeah. And so we have to undo some of that damage with these guys by teaching them that, hey, first of all, it's okay to go against the grain of what society wants for you. That's number one. And then number two, you have to get in touch with, have you ever asked yourself what you actually want? And have you ever gone for it? So I'm all about like guys asking themselves that question repeatedly and then figuring out how they can get what they want, you know? Yeah. Because that's why women like all the bad boys in high school and in college, maybe not in college, but I don't know if the bad boys are as prevalent as they are in high school, but they go for the bad boys in high school because they're showing masculine traits. The guy who's getting all the good grades, which you think women would want to go for, because in society, that's what
right, yeah.
we're taught to.
No, it's funny.
It's
like I don't know who did this study, but it's like high school, it's like the bad boys. College, it's like the pretty boy or the athlete. And then like when they get out of college, it's like a hybrid.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? I want all of those guys in one.
I want the 6'5" blue eye.
Yeah.
I want.
And then they go through their 20s not getting that guy or getting played by that guy, and they're like, okay, well maybe I'll settle for something that's actually more realistic, But
Talk to me about one of your clients' like success stories, like someone who's maybe like a little docile, a little unafraid, who didn't have the skill set, who then kind of, I don't want to say like a rags to riches, but like a.
I will tell you about a guy. He's one of my favorite clients. His name is Ron. That's his real name, but I'm not going to tell you his full name so nobody can like identify him.
Burgundy.
But you got it. Turn that guy's life around. No, this guy's name is Ron.
It means whale's vagina.
He was, so this guy was living in a trailer park in Yelm with his grandmother. Okay. I don't know if you know what Yelm, Washington is, but it's a very, very small town.
With his grandmother in a trailer, kind of sets paints the picture in the mind of the
middle of nowhere, right? Had never been on a date. Actually, that's not true. He had been on one date before he worked with me. He had never had a girlfriend. He had never had sex in his life, and he had never even kissed a girl.
How old is he?
He was 35 years old.
Jesus, it's like 4-year-old virgin.
Yes. So in 3 months, this guy has been on dates with 5 or 6 women. He had his first sexual experience. He sent me a photo of her. She looked pretty good, man. She was even something I would probably go for, right? And by the end of it, they were, working towards a relationship, which didn't end up working out, and I didn't want it to because it's his first relationship.
Right,
what are the chances that he's going to pick a good person? But the point is by the end of it, he had options and he had experience. What was the difference between that guy and a lot of other guys who were 35 years old in that position? It was because it's exactly what I mentioned before. He was willing to, he admitted that he had a problem. He admitted he didn't know jack about when it comes to getting women. And so when he signed up, everything that I told him to do, he was like a machine. He just went out and did it, And so within 3 months, we were able to get those results. But with most guys, they have so many sort of internal conflicts going on, whether it's like, the way they see themselves. Oh, I don't want to be that guy that's randomly approaching a woman and embarrassing myself. I don't want to be the guy who's like, 40 and, asking for help. I don't want to be the guy who's this or that. And they have all of this baggage that's weighing them down and making it so hard for them to achieve success. So half of my thing is like getting guys out of their own way. And showing them like what actually works. But if you're a guy who actually just admits he has a problem, it's like, look, I'm coming in here fresh slate and I don't know what to do, but you do. So I'm going to do everything that you tell me. Then it ends up working out really great. And obviously, we looked at him, we looked at what his strengths and weaknesses are. It's not the same thing for every guy that I cover, nor should it be. I think a lot of guys look at, oh, well, Dan Bilzerian did this, so I'm just going to do exactly what he did and get the exact same results. You're not the same guy as him. 100%. We want to do what works for you, and everybody can be successful, but it's not the same flavor for each person.
I would love to be as charming as Brad Pitt, but
yeah, exactly. So
not going to happen.
You can't just walk up and smile and, then women go nuts and you're going home with somebody. No, you probably got to put in some work. She probably has to see some of the stuff that you do, some of the things that you're about, the value that you create, right? So, like everybody's different, but he was a perfect example of a guy who was like, you would think like, this guy's a freaking loser, but he wasn't. He just wasn't expressing it in the right way. So, yeah, we ended up changing his life around. He's doing great now. So that's one of my favorite transformation stories.
I love it. Dating cycles seem to go in like ebb and flows, right? It's from like there was you used to be Bill. Do you know who Bill Simmons is? From the Rare. One of my all-time favorite articles was like when he wrote the whole like bottle service bullshit. Yeah, because like it used to be I could just go to a bar, get like a shot and a beer, and if there's a pretty girl standing at the bar, I could like offer to buy her a drink. Cost me like $10. Like now I got to get bottle service. I got to go this whole thing, blah, 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 blah. And then it kind of went from that to like, then it was like everyone went to dinner in like groups, like all our friends are going to get together and your different friend groups could merge. And then it kind of went back the old way. Then like the social media apps came in and now it's more of this like run club social experiment. Like let's all do like an activity together and kind of meet that way. Where do you see the future going? The future is heading more towards those, but it's still figuring it out. So nobody knows what it's exactly going to look like, but we do know that the social bonds that we've had in the past don't last as long and people stay single longer.
So if that's happening, you need to find other ways of meeting people with similar interests, and people are trying to solve that problem with technology. Some are working, some aren't working so well. What I think is going to happen is you're going to have like your work life, which a lot of people are working remote now. Work is not as much of a place where you can make friends and have a social life through anymore. So people are having to have now their work, their social life, and sometimes even their dating life. I would prefer if people had a lot of overlap between their social and dating life rather than keeping them separate all the time. But, some people choose to do that.
Well, to your point, I don't know, I'm going to probably get these numbers wrong, so like don't come at me, but it was something like 65% of marriages were workplace romances before they became thing. And now that
I don't think it was 65, but I think it was like 50%. It was pretty high. I don't even think it was 50%. I think it was like through friends and family was like 35 to 40. And I think work was like another 30. And then I think the last one was just like a bunch of different assortments of things. And now it's like
I'm going to defer to your expertise on that one.
Yeah. I don't have the exact numbers.
No, but even if it wasn't a workplace romance, the fact that everyone would go out to have a drink after work led to a communal environment because like you were saying, I can sit here and talk to this girl about how great I am all day in my face, but if my buddy is telling her how great I am, it sounds a hell of a lot better.
Oh,
like, don't trumpet your own horn. Let someone else do it for you.
It's way better when somebody else does it. Dude, it's so funny. Like there's such an opportunity here for guys. If they know how to approach and they have a good social circle, holy cow.
Especially in a town like I remember living in New York.
Yeah.
And it was something like, it was like an 8-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
And if you took like the gay guys out of the equation, it was like 15-to-1.
Yeah.
So if you could say, hi, my name is Spencer. Would you like to have sushi with me on Saturday at 7 p.m.? And you could pick up the tab, like Bob's your uncle. Like the world was your oyster.
Yeah, exactly.
Austin's kind of the same.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, but then the other big obstacle I hear is that women all have FOMO and men are all Peter Pan.
That's true. There are some other advantages that I recommend that guys take advantage of, but also too, let's say you are doing that. You are able to approach, you do have a good social circle. I think a lot of guys have an idea of how it's supposed to go down, and it's not that way in real life. Women move a lot slower than men do when it comes to attraction. With us guys, we'll see a woman who's pretty and we're like, oh, cool, let's go out on a date right now. Let's see if we like each other. And then you're like, that was fine. Let's go on another date. For her, she's like, do I see myself starting a family with this guy? Oh, he likes this. Maybe I'm not into that. They're overanalyzing everything. So you got to wait for them to work through all their nonsense and be patient. And you'll have a lot more success that way.
It's so interesting that you say that. Going back to the sales angle.
Yeah.
So many of my female friends, they crave what they desire the most and experience the least.
Yeah.
So it's almost like 6 touches, like to make the sale, right? So they go crazy for the guy at the gym who they think is cute, but then he kind of looked at her. But then, he kind of like, now they wave at each other. Now he like says like, oh, I hope you had a good weekend, or how was your weekend? Chat type of thing. So it's like 5 or 6 little micro connections, and then the ask out. And that seems to work out versus the, oh, I think you're cute, we should go out sometime. Right? Just kind of letting that tension build or that relation, like don't be so aggressive with it. Like you can be interested without going overboard.
Okay. So yeah, exactly what you're saying about like the guys being a little too, like if it goes in that, like at that pace, that's actually a good pace for most women. I find a lot of guys rush into it and that scares a lot of women off.
Yeah.
So if you go at it, like you have to understand a little bit of female psychology to it as well. I think a lot of guys don't. They only know their own perspective. And if it doesn't agree with their own perspective, they're like, okay, she's not interested. But that's not always true. I find that like with you and your friend, for instance, women do work a lot slower than men do. And then I find if you are able to not try and be too thirsty at the beginning, a lot more opportunities will open up to you and you'll have a lot more candidates that are available. And you will be the guy that women are like, why can't more men be like you? Blah, 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 and all that stuff.
One of the things that you were talking about earlier, especially like with workplaces and so many guys like working from home right now, which also, one of the things that I had to always, or that I was always implementing was I had to have like 4 pockets of joy that were like, so like the first one was like going to the dog park with my dog in the morning. The second one was going to the gym. The third was, food with friends. And then the fourth was like whatever had that absolutely needed to get done with work that day, like got that knocked off. But the gym was like a guaranteed social interaction because I work for myself and I'm sitting at home all day. Like sometimes the only person I'll talk to is my dog. And then food with friends was always a real big staple for me. So for your clients who are, working from home, how important is it for them to still get out into the world?
Super important. And like one of the things that I recommend is like turn the things that you already enjoy doing, that you said your pockets of joy, turn them into ways where you're going to be social, and you can go back home anytime, man, if you want some alone time. But like for me, if I go to the gym, like I want my gym to I want people, even if I'm in a bad mood, I want them to be like, yo, Lloyd, what's going on, man? Hey, give me a high five. And even if I'm like, I just want to work out and not talk to anybody, I still want to be annoyed by people. And I know that some people are cringing at this, but like if you design a life where you are regularly getting social interaction, but you also have your alone time if you're introverted, you're going to be so much happier and you're going to have so many more opportunities come to you that like you don't know what you're missing until you start getting it. You'll turn around and be like, oh, damn, like I actually feel better about myself, I feel great, like I'm laughing. And so turn the things that you normally would be doing alone into possible group activities or places to socialize. For instance, the gym. I don't have a personal trainer like you, but I do classes. I do a lot of classes. So like, a small group training class that's like strength, a little bit of cardio. I find I work out harder with a group of people because I'm like looking at the bitch. I'm looking at that guy next to me. I'm like, he did that. I'm like, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? I haven't worked out for a while because my back's been messed up. But when I'm in there and doing that stuff, I normally will socialize with the people in my small group. I leave, instead of me getting a coffee at home or whatever, I can go to a shop. I know the barista there. I know the people who work there. And so when somebody walks in who I don't know, it's just so much easier for me to start a conversation with them because it feels like I'm picking them up in my backyard, right? Then also too, I co-work in places where I will be surrounded by people who are similar to me, who have similar businesses. This took a little bit longer to create. That's not something that I can give a guy like really quickly to do, but it is very, very worthwhile and I would highly recommend it. It changed my happiness in my life like completely. Even though I'm a dating coach, like I found myself working at home and just being by myself so much that like I noticed my social skills were decaying. Like I was like not.
It's a perishable skill.
Yeah, dude. Like you use it or you lose it, right? So that was what was happening to me. So I've created a life where I was actually getting regular social interaction with people that I liked and accomplishing my goals at the same time. As men, dude, we don't like to hang around and bullshit and do nothing. We want to have friends who we're building or improving or growing with.
100%.
And so, I've organized my life around that, and I've been able to organize it where not only am I just connecting with men, but I also have a lot of female friends within it too. So that helped me like tremendously when it came to working remote. But the biggest thing that helped me, I think overall was, my learning how to approach people that I don't know. Because then, even if that got all taken away from me, I'd still be able to walk up and talk to people on the street or, my everyday life, and I'd still be able to make friends. You drop me off in any city, anywhere, and, I'll be able to change that around pretty quickly. Not a lot of guys can say that.
What does the future look like for you? You've been doing this for like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
One of the things, I think, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, is like, I think one of the reasons that like the coaching space has become so important is that more than any time in our lives, we have such an abundance of information,
right?
Skills, tactics, strength, but we don't really have a lot of like skilled practitioners that can help us to like focus that the discipline or the trade craft. There's a lot of downloads, but there's not a lot of integration. Like I have all this information now, what do I do with it? Which is where I think coaching comes into.
Yeah.
From a personal coaching point, but also just from like the ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah.
What are you working towards?
So what I'm working towards is like, I truly believe that this is one of the most important things that humanity needs to grapple with. Is we've invented a lot of technology like AI, social media, and we're very technologically oriented. But with each advancement in technology and improvement in our lives, we have seen a de-evolution in our enjoyment, in our connection with others. And I don't know about you, but like, I can have the coolest phone or the coolest camera or the coolest whatever, the coolest car, but if I don't have anybody to enjoy it with, if I don't have anybody to spend time with and laugh with, what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
And we're getting away from, it's cool that we're changing our society with these inventions, but it's not all good in my opinion. You know?
I think it, I literally saw my feed is full of so-and-so is in this relationship with a chatbot, blah, 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 blah. I literally saw like a Medium blog that was like 10 ways to know if your chatbot's cheating on you. I was like, this better not be the way.
Is that a real?
No, I made that up, but that's pretty funny.
That would be a funny. That would be a funny. You know, that would be a funny account actually to like spoof all of the dating content for your AI chatbot. So yeah, I think that that's.
I think we're getting more and more isolated, and I think with the population decline, I think what the service that you and yours provide is becoming more and more important.
We're trying to fight that, and the way you do it is not through more technology, but it's by advancing us.
Yeah.
The more advanced the devices we have are, the less advanced we become as human beings.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want, the Neuralink implant that you're going to let you know exactly what I'm thinking, because if most people knew what I was
Musk
thinking,
is talking about?
Yeah, they would go cry in a corner for the rest of their life.
That thing freaks me out, man.
It's a little wild. I end every podcast by asking my guests 5 questions.
Yeah.
These 5 questions have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've discussed this far. It's basically for the audience to get to know you on a more personal level. So question number 1. One of my new favorite writing prompts when I'm journaling is, what is something I didn't know today that I didn't know yesterday?
What is one thing that...
So what is something that you didn't know yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think nothing
For
big.
example, yesterday you didn't know that I had a logo.
That's true. I saw this news story about how a woman in Japan married her AI. She married an AI, and I didn't even know people were allowed to do that. And then I read that news story, and I'm like, holy shit, it's happening already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are doing.
Do they have to convert? I mean, like if it was like a religion
I didn't read
thing,
the whole article.
Yeah,
I didn't want to get dumber, but like I saw it and I'm like, holy cow, it's happening already. And I hear then I read more and I hear I think it's like 1 in 5 Gen Z or Gen Alpha would consider a relationship with an AI.
When they made that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, like it was almost like a spoof.
Dude, I couldn't even watch that movie.
Now it's like becoming real. Like I don't even care if it is Scarlett Johansson's voice. Like Scarlett Johansson, no problem.
Yeah.
Just Scarlett Johansson's voice.
I'm sure you can configure that for your AI person to be Scarlett Johansson. Dude, I didn't even watch that movie because I saw it and I was like, okay, I deal with guys like this all the time. I don't need any more.
Yeah.
It's
but like taking insult to a whole new level.
To be fair, that's a very small minority of the clients who are that far gone. But I remember seeing that movie and I'm like, nope, not watching that. It's too real for me.
Do you have, just a little Spencer Coursen sidebar, but like, is an over-reliance on technology, like almost something with some of your clients you have to help them like wean off?
Honestly, no. I'd say it's a small percentage of clients. I will deal with guys who have like pornography addiction and stuff like that, but I don't have anybody who's addicted to an AI chatbot. Yeah. If you're addicted to an AI chatbot, you're probably too far gone for me to help, and you need to, step outside and learn to have other activities that you enjoy besides your machine. And that guy, if he learns to do that, then he might be ready to sign up. But if they're like, they have a full-on AI girlfriend and they come to me, like, I'm like, dude, you need to solve that problem before you even think about talking to a real woman,
Real sex is so much better.
Real sex is so much better. Dude, like most of my guys, it's not that they are not like, they suck with women, they're horrible. The testimonial example is like, that's probably like 30% of my clients. But I would say 50% of them, it's not like they don't get any results with women. They've gotten a decent amount, a lot of them, but they're just not getting a woman who they feel like they would actually be happy with, or they feel like they would actually be able to, to look forward to seeing. You know what I mean?
Is that, I remember now what I wanted to talk to you about before, and I'll try to edit this into the earlier part of the conversation. one of the problems I had when I was going on dates was having like an improperly framed expectation of how that date should go or what that date should be.
Right.
Yeah. And I had to almost, and it was, and if it didn't like get knocked out of the park and we didn't like fall like madly in love by the end of the date, I was like, and after like 5 or 6 bad dates in a row, I was like, well, the only common denominator here is me.
Yeah.
So like what, and so I had to kind of reframe my expectation to, so when we were out in public, that was like kind of like me walking through the bookstore and then meeting this girl and asking her out was kind of like, that's my willingness to take the book off the shelf. And that first date is like me looking at the back of the book, looking at the cover photo, reading kind of like the author's bio to decide if that's a book I want to buy or take out from the library or spend more time with. And once I made that pivot, my dating life got so much better.
Gotcha. So you became more aware of how to discern who's the right person for you to date?
I stopped going in with expectation. I started the only expectations, and I started doing this like across my life as a whole.
Yeah.
Whereas like I stopped having expectations for everyone else, just how I showed up. And that way I was either made aware or was pleasantly surprised, but I was never disappointed.
Yeah. So you have very like strong masculine leadership qualities in yourself. I do believe that if, you give a woman a chance, like she will just naturally start to follow your lead and naturally start being able to anticipate your needs a little bit more. I really think that'll happen. Most guys don't have that. Most guys don't have that presence. You know what I mean? So I think that will be something that, you
is that something that do you think can be fostered?
Yes. Women want to follow a guy in a relationship. They don't want to think. They don't want to do a whole lot of thinking.
Right.
A lot of guys think, I want to let her be her and feel empowered or whatever. Honestly, the truth is, it's not too PC, but most women don't want to think when they're in a relationship. They don't want to be wondering if this guy likes them or not. They don't want to be worried when they're walking down the street. They want to have the guy who they're there and they can turn their brain off.
Emotional security, physical security, financial security. Yes. You provide those 3 things.
They know they're being taken care of. They can just feel free to be in their feminine and start being caring and start doing the things that give them joy. But, most women enjoy making other people happy. Most men enjoy making other people happy. And that's a basic human trait, but they do it in different ways, right? Men like to be the kind of like breadwinner a lot of times, and women like to be the one who's like, making them feel cared and loved for, right? So these
buy the house, she'll make it the home.
Yeah, this is just these are just generalities, but I find that to be the case for most women, even women who like are in their masculine all the time, very career oriented women. They crave that a lot. They just don't believe a guy could bring that out of them.
Question number 2. They're making a movie about your life. Who are they casting to play you?
Oh God. Do you know, I used to live in Bastrop. Do you know who Adrian Grenier is?
Yeah. As soon as you sat down.
The Entourage guy?
I just saw him at a party like that Formula 1 last week.
Oh, you saw him at F1?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I was going to go to a party and apparently he was
also at the Sphere when we were in the same suite at the Sphere for Anima.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Dude,
he's a good dude.
Yeah. He seems like a really awesome guy. I don't know him personally, obviously, so I can't say that for sure. But, I went to, if you ever go to Bastrop and want to eat at a nice restaurant, Storehouse is the place to go. Storehouse. Best restaurant in Bastrop.
Is that his spot?
He's been there a lot. He's been there so much that I walked in there and they were like, "Hey, Adrian, how's it going?" I roll with it too. I was like, "Yeah, bring me my spot."
Love it.
Bring me my drink.
Sliding doors moment. Question number 3.
Sliding doors.
You're not a dating coach, and you do nothing with love life or relationships. What would your profession be?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional soccer player so badly.
Really?
Did you want to get into sports when you were younger?
Yeah, I just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough either. But I thought I was for a little bit.
Every kid wanted to be a baseball player, basketball player, football player.
Yeah. And I got injured a bunch of times. Just being an athlete, like going out there. And as a kid, like you don't even think about all the money and women that comes with it. You just want to like, I could play this and get paid.
And they'll have all my face on a card.
Yeah. So that would have been my dream job. If I wasn't doing that though, I'd probably be helping people out with their businesses. And I know enough about the space now that like I could help people grow their business. I actually do that in some small capacity, but I really enjoy doing that. I like hearing people's stories and helping them grow.
Question number 4. If you could spend 3 months in any fictional universe, what would it be?
Probably, I wanted to be Spider-Man for a while, so I'd probably say the Marvel universe for a little bit.
Love it.
Be a stressful world to be in with the world getting just almost destroyed every week. So
yeah,
but it'd be fun.
Question number 5. We'll get you out here on this. you could instantaneously have any skill set
Oh, okay.
and be expert level at it, what would it be?
I've thought about this a lot. I would be like, I don't know if this is a skill, but like just being overall productive. Like, when I say I'm going to do something, like I just freaking am a machine and I go after it and I do it. If I was able to do that, I'd be a lot more successful.
What's preventing you from doing that now?
I get distracted by things and I have all these ideas and I get bored, and I'm like doing rote tasks really annoy me, but you have to do them inevitably if you're a business owner, even if you have people working for you and stuff like that. I think
is that
that
something that do you overpromise and underdeliver to yourself? Or
all the time. I'll wake up and I'll do stuff like that. I mean, I get the stuff done. I have a great business. I have a lot to be thankful for, but I know I can be doing better. And I think
that time management thing?
I think it would be a planning coupled with eliminating the distractions. I get distracted a lot by new things.
So I had that same
stuff
problem.
like that. Yeah.
Can I share a hack that worked for me?
Yeah. Love to hear it.
I chunk my calendar into a 3-hour block, a 2-hour block, and then 3 1-hour blocks. And I put it in there.
Wait, sorry, 3, 2, 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, no, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1.
3, 2, 1,
so that's
1, 1.
8 hours,
okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I have a 3-hour block, a 2-hour block, and then 3 1-hour blocks.
Okay.
That is just work stuff. Then I have like dog park, dinner, workout, other stuff.
Yeah.
I lock my calendar the night before. If it's not on the calendar the next day, it doesn't get added.
Oh, okay.
I live by my calendar.
Do you have emergencies pop up though, and do you have to handle them, right?
Yeah, every once in a while. And if that's the case, then that will occupy one of those 1-hour blocks. Usually the 3-hour block is what has to absolutely get done that day. The second block is like what's on deck for the next day. And then those 3-hour blocks, if some emergency should have to pop up, it can occupy one of those spaces. Otherwise, it'll get moved to a 3-hour block or a 2-hour block tomorrow.
Okay.
Very rarely. And when I say like there are emergencies, it's usually like a phone call or an email or something like that, which I can.
Doesn't take very long.
Yeah, I can chunk those times don't need to be cumulative, right? They can be like I can take a 5-minute call here or a 10-minute call there, and I can put it into one of those 1-hour blocks.
Yeah.
But that allows me to stay focused and ensures that I have enough energy dollars.
You can you can stay focused for the entire first 3-hour block.
I turn my phone off.
Okay. Yeah, that might be a little tough for me, but I think it's possible. Yeah.
You can go off the grid for 3 hours.
Yeah.
The world's not going to burn down.
Well, I go off the grid, but like for me to, I find like I can focus really hard for like 30 minutes and then I need like a 5-minute break.
Yeah, do a Pomodoro timer.
Okay. So yeah, if we can do that, then
I do a Pomodoro timer and binaural beats.
By what, sir?
Binaural beats.
Binaural beats?
Yeah, so binaural beats are what your left ear is hearing is different than what your right ear is hearing, and it will cross streams in your brain.
Okay.
And they have them for relaxation, they have them for focus, they have them for sleep, they have them for meditation. So I just open up a YouTube tab, put my headphones on, minimize it, open up another Pomodoro timer, and I usually do 90 minutes and 90 minutes of work and 15 minutes of rest.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it 30-10, you can do whatever you want. But for that 3-hour block or 2-hour block, 1-hour block, that's what I do.
Okay, cool.
It's really helped me a lot.
We'll see if we can develop a superpower then. But yeah,
I have horrible ADHD.
Yeah, I have really bad ADHD too, man. That's part of the reason why I do this. But I have a lot of things that I want to do, and just like I want the capacity to be able to do them.
Yeah, totally.
So
I think that's a superpower you can give to yourself.
Perfect.
Lloyd Dixon, ladies and gentlemen. If people want to learn more, what's the best place for them to go?
I would recommend you go to my YouTube channel or my Instagram. The YouTube channel is The Single Guy, one word. I am not single, but that's the name of my channel. And the Instagram is a.single.guy. So check those out. If you want to shoot me a message on Instagram, no problem. I got a lot of good stuff on there, a lot of free trainings. So I would check out those. And if you want extra help, dude, reach out and we'll schedule a call.
And what's the podcast?
The podcast is actually, I only do clips of the podcast. I do not release the full version of it. Maybe one day, if enough people want it. I have been getting requests to release the full version, so I may release the full version sometimes, but it's really just clips on Instagram, get the information, get out. Like, if people have time, maybe it's like, maybe I just don't think people want to hear me talk for like 2 hours at a time, so I don't do it. But
they're going to hear you talk for about an hour 20. So thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Cheers.
I appreciate you having me. I learned a lot, dude.
Yeah, man. You too. Cheers.
Cool.